Hi guys, hello everyone, and happy February. Welcome to the Healing Project Pandemic Series once again. I am your host, Imara McGlure. Reports of increasing cases and mutating strains of the coronavirus make self-care an even more urgent topic to explore, so as we choose healthier lifestyle practices and dietary habits. The topic for today is detoxification of the genitals. But before we get started, I have a few announcements to make. Sorry, I have a dog. First, I would like to personally invite you to make direct contact with me if you ever have a problem accessing our webinar. You should have received an email from Ms. J with my contact information. Also, since this class is being recorded, as a courtesy to your classmates and the presenters, we ask that you stop your video if you need to take care of personal business to secure your privacy. All mics will be muted to give each speaker the opportunity to complete his or her presentation. We are also happy to announce that the Healing Project Pandemic Series will be featured once a month for the rest of the year. As usual, you will receive a link for this recording as soon as post-production is complete. Please do not share it because it is unique to your registration code. We do, however, encourage you to hold watch parties with your family, friends, and neighbors, and please invite them to commit to improved health and register for the upcoming webinars. As always, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat section or save them for our discussion segment later on. And with that, I would love to introduce the incomparable Ms. J.
Okay. Thank you, Imara. And how you doing, everyone? So happy you came out. It's an honor and privilege to see the Healing Project expanding with new family members. And I just wanted to take this time to show you the website, www.beheal.info. And on the home page, you'll find out more about me, a few details, my bio, and we're moving forward with this as soon as my computer allows me to. I have some blogs on there that I hope you'll take the time to read, where I talk about all aspects of quality of life living. You'll also find on the booking page where you can book, or family and friends can book, for bereavement and aftercare counseling, or a whole body wellness consultation, or for our classes, which all of our past classes will be available for you to receive, and you will get the resource packages as well. On the events page, and of course there's our beautiful current guest speaker, Olatokunboh Obasi, you will see the featured guest speaker for that month. And I would love for you to subscribe so that you can continue to get updates with us. Now, the Healing Project is an interactive workshop that's designed to educate participants about various healing modalities that will effectively strengthen the immune system and detoxify the body for improved health and well-being. Your self-care resources will be made available and special guests will be featured. We always try to give you extra. The music that you heard at the beginning was produced and sung by my acupuncturist, my yogi, my gong healer, my astrologer, my musician and vocalist. You can tell I love him, right? So that's Aminbir Singh, and Apsihade Hoa means you, Divine One, have become my refuge. True is your support, great, creative, infinite. Now, I'd like for you to take this moment to take some deep breaths. So why don't we start out by realizing that the breath, when we breathe deeply, releases our feel-good hormones, our endorphins, and we definitely want to feel good. So take this moment to close your eyes. We're going to breathe deeply 6 times, and then we'll begin our lesson. So close your eyes and breathe deeply. Breathe in, fill those lungs, hold, and release. Again, inhale, hold, and release. Inhale, hold, release. Breathe in, hold, and release. One more time. Breathe in, hold, and release. And when you're ready, open your eyes and relax in this moment. Feels good? All right. So before we have Ola come to you, we're going to talk about some points, myths, and holistic practices as they relate to detoxification of the genitals for male and female. Here is the human reproductive system. And when you receive your package, you can look at it more closely. And I urge you to go to the dictionary and look up the parts and see how they work, what they do. Do research on your own. Get to know your body. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's never too late to learn more about your body. We're going to talk about the female reproductive system first. Some female reproductive issues that arise are endometriosis, which causes a lot of cramps, uterine fibroids, gynecologic cancer, HIV/AIDS, painful bladder syndrome, polycystic ovary syndrome, and sexually transmitted diseases. Myths surrounding the vagina is that it is necessary to use specialized cleaning products. Douching is a practice of rinsing out the vagina with water or a cleansing agent, but that upsets the natural balance of the vagina and causes or can cause bacterial vaginosis. The vagina is self-cleaning, so douching isn't necessary, as documented by the Mayo Clinic. Vaginal infections occur when bacteria, funguses, or other organisms grow uncontrolled. And infectious organisms can also be introduced into the vagina by improper hygiene or unsafe sex. The pH balance of the skin and the vagina can be maintained with 1 cup of apple cider vinegar in bath water. And you can also use tea tree oil to treat yeast infections. Vaginal discomfort might include persistent or recurrent pain just before, during, or after sex. And vaginal dryness can also cause pain during intercourse after menopause. Sexually transmitted infections can affect the vagina, including chlamydia, gonorrhea, genital warts, syphilis, and genital herpes. Signs might include abnormal vaginal discharge or genital sores. Depending on sexual behaviors, these lesions can manifest on the mouth and the anus as well. Vaginitis is an infection or change in the normal balance of vaginal yeast and bacteria and can cause inflammation of the vagina. Symptoms include vaginal discharge, odor, itching, and pain. Common types of vaginitis include bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. Then we have pelvic floor relaxation. And we talked about that a lot in class. In Matthew Wood, you saw him last month if you attended, in his advanced herbology class last night. So if the supporting ligaments and connective tissues that hold the uterus and the vaginal walls in place become weak, the uterus, bladder, rectum, or the vaginal walls might slip down. That's called prolapse. And it might cause urine leakage during coughing and sneezing, or even a bulge in the vagina. Rare conditions that require emergency gynecological assessment are vaginal cysts, which cause severe pain during sex, vaginal cancer, which might first appear as vaginal bleeding after menopause or sex. Now, I thought it interesting to look into nature and see what plants imitate the anatomy of humans and of the human genitalia, I should say. So the Hindora africana obtains their nutrients from a host plant, and it has an enzyme which allows it to dissolve some of the roots of its host plant in order to attach to them. There are so many jokes around that. I'm going to leave it alone. So it attaches to the roots of the host and takes some of the nutrients that it makes from photosynthesis. No fool, no fun. If you know me, you know I love to have fun. So the medicinal uses, diarrhea, dysentery, kidney, and bladder complaints are all treated with infusions and decoctions of Hindora africana. And the infusions are also used as a face wash to treat acne. Now we're going to move on to the male reproductive system. And thought I'd throw Idris up there, Idris Elba, why not? Couldn't go wrong with that. Male reproductive issues. So prostate cancer, testicular cancer, enlarged prostate or BPH, erectile dysfunction, male infertility, testosterone deficiency, undescended testicle, and sexually transmitted diseases are something that males have to be concerned about. Some common myths about male sexuality is that size matters. The size of a man's penis has nothing to do with how much pleasure he feels. Knowledge of his partner's needs and anatomy will heighten sexual intimacy and pleasure. There's a myth that men are always ready and willing to have sex. This stereotype tends to make men feel obligated to perform even when they don't want to engage. So we have to remember that no is a complete sentence, especially when sex is involved, for all genders. Another myth is that very few men are virgins. Statistics show that men are delaying sexual intercourse at an increasing rate, and as many as 1 in 4 men have not had sexual intercourse by the age of 19. Sex requires an erection. The best sex involves open communication, exploration, discovery, creativity, and fun. And one thing I really like to bring to the attention of men is the penis soak. A lot of men have not heard of that. It's usually said that women are supposed to do the extra cleansing, but men have an obligation to improve their hygiene practices and avoid passing genital infections back and forth between partners as well. And this is a sitz bath pan that both men and women can use. It fits over the toilet seat, and the herb tea can be put in to it. The decoction can be put in for you to sit on. It also soothes hemorrhoids. And there is a recipe that I found, The Male Herbal by James Green. He suggested the recipe that includes yarrow, sage, lavender, and chaparral for the herbal soak. And he also said you could add 1 or 2 drops of tea tree oil, which is a natural and safe antiseptic, lavender and or bergamot oils, and you mix it well. Now, I really would like Ola to address the question of why he says that a man should soak 2 to 3 times a day. I was very curious about that. So the plant that I found that imitates the male anatomy is the pitcher plant, and the leaf and the root is used as medicine. It's taken by mouth for digestive orders, particularly constipation, for urinary tract diseases and fluid retention. It's also used as a cure for smallpox and to prevent scar formation. And it's given as a shot. The extract is given as a shot. Now it's time to meet Ola. I met Ola at the 2019 American Herbalist Guild Conference in Bethesda, Maryland, and she is a founder of the Well of Indigenous Wisdom School, the Three Rivers Free Clinic. She partners with Herbalists Without Borders. She's also a yoga and dance instructor, a medical herbalist, nutritionist, and birth doula. What attracted me to her most is the fact that she's dedicated to reminding the Western world to honor herbal practice contributions by people of indigenous heritage, specifically African, Native American, and Latin American cultures. And I'd like for you to take this time to welcome Ola Obasi. Hi, Ola.
Hi, hello everyone. How are you? Thank you for inviting me here, Carolyn. I thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yes, that was great. A good intro. To some things might overlap, so I'm just gonna pull up in my share screen. Is it possible that the host can allow me to share screen here so I can put my slides up?
Yes, I just gave you permission.
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna just put it on. Okay, perfect. So I've been a medical herbalist for quite a number of years. I think it's 15 or 16 years. I can't remember how long now. Mm-hmm. And I used to live in the US. I live in Puerto Rico now, so that's why you see me with the kind of clothes I'm wearing. It's nice and hot here, I'm not rubbing it in. Just the tropical weather is always the best for me. Yeah. I'm originally African, so I grew up in the tropics, and I'm just I can't do the winter. I don't have too much ancestry connected to the winter. So I'm glad I'm not there. But I hope you're all keeping warm and safe and well at this time of the year, especially with our current situation with the pandemic. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for the great intro. I reworded things slightly, if that's okay. I mean, of course, it's detoxification of the genitals, but I was like detoxing also, in the act of working with our genitals as men and women, and why we need to do that so we can keep a balanced state of sexual well-being, because that's mainly what our genitals are there for us to enjoy and have pleasure sexually. Of course, to be reproductive as well, and of course to eliminate when we need to, like urinary, for instance.
Yeah.
So those are some things I'll be touching on today. So the female reproductive system. So as Ms. Caroline had on, a picture of the reproductive system. So here's another picture with similar, of course, labeling. The parts that I would like you to think about or to focus on, put your mind on, are the ovaries. These are parts that are most important for our sexuality, our hormone health, our reproductive health, if we're planning on having children, or even if we're in the stage of menopause and what's happening with our ovaries and how hormones are affected in our body. The cervix, so more structural, cervix, the rectum, the vagina. Most people think of the vagina as the entire part of the female anatomy, but it's really just that entryway, getting deeper into the more beautiful depths of the female body. As you can see, it's parallel to the urethras, which is part of our urinary tract physiology. And then of course the bladder at the top. The uterus is very, very close to the bladder. So we can again see why the urinary tract or the urinary physiology is very, very important in our maintenance of healthy genitalia, healthy sexual health. And this basically goes the same for men too, but we're just on women right now. So I wrote a little, as I was writing this out, I was thinking of I like to use what I call indigenous wisdom. So based on my school concepts, which is like looking deeper into our materialistic world about everything, including the human body. And so I thought, okay, what's a female reproductive system versus being technical? How can I convey my thoughts? Of course, these are not all my thoughts, but some of my thoughts as what the female reproductive system represents. So it's the divine feminine as part of our human story that speaks to bringing and creating life within. So within our earth womb, and also within ourselves. The inward place of the female organs manifest in sync with the lunar cycles of the earth outside of us. So every 28 days, the moon waxes and wanes, and we have a full moon and a new moon, and waxes and wanes, and we have a new moon and a full moon. And in that entire cycle, there's a sync of a similar waxing and waning within the female reproductive system, particularly in reproductive years. So that is the ovulation, the menstruation if there's no pregnancy, and then the building of the uterus wall again, which you can see here on the picture, the uterus, and then the wall deteriorating again, and on and on and on, and an egg coming out. And so there's this wave that's very, very congruent with the lunar cycles, the moon cycles. And oftentimes women will have their menstrual cycle either during a full moon or a new moon, depending on where they are at emotionally, because the moon is also a very emotional body on our planet Earth. But I'm not going to go into that right now. The female reproductive system moves in circular motion to decide to bring life or not. So that's part of the menstruation. And if there's no pregnancy and fertilization, then there's a decision to either do that or not, reject pregnancy or not. The female reproductive system moves in circular motion to decide to bring life or not, to enjoy love making or not, and is destined to meet eldership gracefully by enjoying the fruits of her labor. Oftentimes, I think, especially in Western culture, in Africa, it's very, very different. But in Western culture, once you reach menopause and you're in, more of an elder, as in not able to reproduce more children, and you've stopped your periods and your menstrual cycle, there seems to be this sort of exclusion of the divine feminine from our conversation, from society. And so there's lack of honoring. And I really see eldership as a graceful place to be. I have 3 children myself, and I'm hoping that as an elder, I'll be admiring my children and their children and all the things that they'll be doing on the planet. So it should be a time for us to enjoy the harvests and of, you know, the fruits of our labor. Yeah. So these are the types of genital imbalances that I could think of concerning the female reproductive system. Of course, there may be more, and as Ms. Carolyn has already mentioned some of these, and some I don't have on here that she already mentioned, but vaginal hemorrhoids, common genitalia infections. Let me just first go back and explain what vaginal hemorrhoids are. They're basically hemorrhoids that that come because of dryness due to vaginal dryness. Can, you know, so just like a hemorrhoid you'd have anally, they would happen in the vagina due to dryness. And sometimes they're affected by an anal hemorrhoid. And hemorrhoids are caused by pressure on our pelvis area, so be around the anus or around the vagina. And this can cause what Ms. Carolyn had mentioned in her introduction, prolapse. It can cause a prolapsed uterus. It can cause some type of prolapse or boggy muscles. So that's a serious issue. And just like a hemorrhoid from the rectum can cause a prolapse of the anus. So this is some of the things I do want to discuss today. Common genital infection, genital warts. Genital warts is caused by the human papilloma virus, HPV, and this is a sexually transmitted disease, and it causes these cauliflower-looking parts on the genitalia. I'll be, oh, sorry, my cat. One thing about teaching at home, right? I can understand Imara with her dog.
Yeah, we have a dog and a cat.
So trichomoniasis is a bacterial infection, and this is also sexually transmitted disease. It's really a very uncomfortable infection because it causes a lot of itching, and it's, you know, it's very, very wounds that are formed. It's very, very uncomfortable. Yeast infections could be caused by sexual transfer, but also could be caused by pH imbalance in the body. So depending on diet and certain lifestyle, cotton, polyester type of underwear, products that are used that shouldn't be used, like soaps and douches, can cause yeast infections. And then there's herpes, which is a common one. You know, we have the herpes simplex and we have the herpes type 2, and there's many other herpeses. But this is a virus, and it's also sexually transmitted, affecting the genitalia. It stays dormant in our nerve cells. So this is one that one has to be very careful to clean, to detox from the body.
Mm-hmm. Before you go on, Ola, may I ask you if trichomoniasis and herpes appear together at times?
I mean, you can have all 4 of those that are listed, truly, depending on people's sexual habit, but no, not necessarily trichomoniasis and herpes. I often see yeast infections and herpes, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Or yeast infections and genital warts. I see yeast infections, I would say, would be the common denominator with the rest of them. Yeah. And that might be because my clinical approach is because yeast infections causes an immune deficiency. And so if you're engaging with someone with one of these, then of course, you're more susceptible with your immune system down. You know, one thing is about viruses and bacteria and microbes is that we don't really get them unless our immune system is compromised. I'm not saying and advocating that people should be just carelessly having sexual partners.
Yes.
But really, you know how you hear some people got it and some people didn't?
Yeah.
Because of different immune, where people are in their immune stage.
What made me ask that question is because I have a client who's complaining of excessive itching. You know, it's driving her crazy, but she has herpes as well.
Is the itching, does she have fish
Internal itching.
Okay, but is there an odor? Does it smell fishy?
That's interesting. What would be the determinant if she did?
Trichomoniasis smells like that. Okay. And there's a discharge. There's usually a dark discharge.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So her itching may just be coming from herpes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Other types of reasons why there's genital imbalances is just energy transfer between sexual partners. So, you know, you engage with someone who just left a partnership, or you just left a partnership, you didn't take the moment to clean energetically, take a time to reflect on that relationship and to learn from the relationship, whatever way it goes, and move forward and clean energetically, and just transferring, you know, 500 girlfriends or boyfriends into the next partnership. And that's just like layered energies. So that creates imbalances. And that's when we start to see, you know, a lot of growth, like fibroid tumors, cysts, and things like that, because the energy doesn't have a place to go.
Okay.
And then we also see with genital imbalances how it affects our fertility. And so some of this should have been in the other place anyway. So some of the ways that our fertility is affected is just, as again, by probably like tumors or growths, cysts, but also just because of STDs that can cause like pelvic inflammatory disease, for instance, PID, which is not listed here, but it's an inflammatory process that actually can affect the fallopian tubes and make them close or create hard tissue. So that fallopian tubes is a place where sperm can move, or ovaries, I'm sorry, can move out of the fallopian tubes into the uterus so that sperm can meet the ovary or the eggs there. And the egg cannot travel through a blocked tube because PID would have caused that. So let me be clear again, I made a few mistakes there. So the fallopian tube is where the ovaries are, and out of the fallopian tube or the ovaries comes eggs during a certain cycle, ovulation time. And if there is intercourse, procreativity, and sperm enters into the uterus where the egg would be, if there is PID, pelvic inflammatory disease, the fallopian tube would have hard tissue, so it would not allow the egg to pass through. Okay. So some of the suggested therapies that I have are boric acid suppositories. I've been very, very successful using boric acid suppositories with my clients. But some people ask, okay, that's not natural. What, you know, is this something that, you know, you want to use? Well, you know, it's not a unnatural substance. It's derived from the earth. You can find a lot of this substance, the boric acid, comes from a substance of the earth that is found in more like volcanic or hot spring areas. So really, actually, you can hang out at hot springs and maybe, you know, collect some water there or something and energetically shift your energy. But boric acids are very great suppositories for yeast infections. or for anything that's really itchy there. Maybe Miss Caroline, you want to use that for your client. That could help.
Thank you.
My recommendation is 2 capsules, 2 OO capsules for 7 days. Even if symptoms leave after 3 days, continue for 7 days, and should be great. And I would have your client do that at night. And put a pad or some type of lining, so that there might be leakage or something like that. So okay,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yoni eggs are great. These are crystal eggs that these have been used for centuries, all the way back to Egyptian times. Of course, the Himalayan age, where, Tibet, East Indian cultures, Chinese cultures. So we've been using this all around the world, the yoni eggs, as a means to create more flexibility in the muscle tissue. But I also really recommend yoni eggs for that energetic shift, that once you've changed your partners and you need time to heal, so that you can welcome a new partner without giving them all your persons behind you.
Is there a particular crystal?
Well, different crystals, different things.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can use some of the ones I have, for instance, at my shop, I keep are bloodstone. I keep, wait, let me see. I have bloodstone. I have tiger's eye. Obsidian.
Yes.
Which one else I have? I think I have lapis.
Lapis lazuli?
Yeah, lapis lazuli. And what else do I have? A crystal quartz. Crystal quartz and amethyst.
Okay. The lapis lazuli is mine.
Yeah, is your stone. I love lapis lazuli too.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I would recommend the yoni eggs, and you have different sizes for the yoni eggs. So, depending on different sizes of the person, or also what the needs are. I recommend yoni eggs in the nighttime, insert them, and then, wake up in the morning, take them out, clean yourself, and you can use them the next night for a while, There's a rule of thumb, 21 weeks is good, because it's 3 weeks, and 3 is a number of transformations. So I always like that numerology of,
nice.
At least give yourself that time. Vaginal steaming is excellent. So we've heard of yoni steaming or vaginal steaming. This is where a lot of herbs can be used to put into the steam. I would use floral plants like roses and yarrow, lavender, those kind of plants to steam the vagina. This is sitting over the steam, not to burn, but enough to just warm and to bring, like sweat, all the energy out of the vagina. This helps with cleaning and purification energetically and physiologically. I've had a lot of women get pregnant doing vaginal steaming, recommending vaginal steaming, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, I've gotten some people pregnant. So help with fertility.
Fantastic.
I love it, yeah. Well, most of the time what's happening with, not always, but what's happening with fertility is that there's a lot of congestion in the uterus. So the steaming helps move that congestion around. And so that creates an opportunity.
And voila.
Yeah.
New life. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, and then there's visualization. So we forget sometimes the power of the mind. So we need to, sometimes visualize what we want to see. And go inward and use the inner eye to create and manifest that which we want to see in ourselves, and to understand what is going on when we're out of balance within our genitalia, to understand what does this mean. Most likely it's not only just something physical, it's always something also emotionally connected. And so if we are more aligned, this can be hard, I know, but if we are aligned, then we can really heal ourselves.
That's right.
Sitz baths are also important. As Ms. Carolyn had mentioned, this is both for men and women, really. I know we're in the female, but sitz baths are great to heal wounds, especially those wounds that could be caused by the fungal yeast infections or, trichomoniasis, to release itching that, you just can't go anywhere and just itching, just like yeast infections. So that helps too. I also use sitz baths after pregnancies as a birth doula. I recommend that when people have maybe some tearing or just soothing the vagina. These are the following things that could fertility can be affected by. We often don't think of these things as well, but these are parts of our lifestyle that we need to shift or encourage our society and our community to shift. So one of them is our environmental toxins, just pollution areas, places where there's a lot of pollution from factories or from chemical dumps. Are you living near one of those areas? And if so, then this is something to consider if there's an issue with fertility. And fertility goes beyond just fertility to be able to have children, but also fertility as far as even sexual health, being able to perform sexually. Food toxins, what are you eating? Are there a lot of chemicals and processed food components in your food? Stress levels, we need to manage those. Of course, if we're stressed out, we can't connect with ourselves. If we're not sleeping enough, we don't give the body time to rejuvenate and restore the energy in our adrenal glands, which goes back to stress as well. Exercise, if we over-exercise, that releases too much cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And if we under-exercise, that doesn't help with our hormonal circulation. So we need to balance our exercise habits. And then, of course, good nutrition, so that goes with food toxins in a way that, we're eliminating toxic components, but we're being more mindful with the kind of nutrients we're putting into our body. Okay, so this next series are just about a few plants that there's so many plants to select, and I mean, I could go on and on, but
please do.
One has to just choose a few. So
yeah. My favorite.
Yeah, yarrow's great because yarrow, should I be looking at these chat messages at all?
I'm answering some, and when I run up against an issue, that's yours.
Okay, great. Then we can answer those at the end.
Yes.
Yarrow. Yeah, yarrow is Achillea milfolium. That's its botanical name. And it's a plant that you can find all over the East Coast in the summertime. It usually grows spring, like mid-spring going into summer. It starts to flower. It's white flower tops. It has these leaves that are very small separated leaves. They're very small leaves. They look like a ladder or stair steps. I find yarrow very useful as an astringent. That means that it tightens tissue. And so in the case of the prolapsed uterus or, muscle like hemorrhoids for men or women, I would use yarrow in a sitz bath for sure. That would be placed in a sitz bath. Not only will it help to tighten muscle and tissue, but it also helps with cleaning and is an antiseptic. So if there's fungal or some other thing going on over there, an infection, it will assist with that. So topically, in a sitz bath, I would definitely use yarrow. And even if you wanted to use that by itself, if you wanted to put something to smell great, maybe put some lavender in there.
Yes.
I like yarrow internally for bladder infections. So if we go back to the anatomy, the bladder is very close to the uterus, and that can cause, well, one can cause infections to the other. So if you have a UTI, that can cause infections into the uterus, and if you have a uterus infection, it can cause an infection in the bladder. And that's why a lot of women tend to have, you know, if they have a sexual infection, it affects their bladder. If they have something growing on their uterus, like a fibroid tumor, it affects their urinary cycle. So yarrow can help a lot with just supporting the infection in the bladder. I didn't write here too, but yarrow is very useful for fibroid tumors.
Yeah.
You were speaking about how plants look. Yarrow looks like little fibroid tumors, you know.
Wow.
It also looks like it's clustered like the genital warts. So it's great for all these infections in the uterus, you know.
Oh, wonderful. And you know, it's known as the mother of all wound healers in aromatherapy. Yeah.
Okay, yes. It is it heals wounds, as I have in the last point there. So it is what is called in the herbal community a vulnerary, you know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Here's Donqui, which is Angelica sinensis. And this one is, the root is used. It's not to be confused with Angelica archangelica, which is grown a lot in the Northeast. This plant is very common in the materia medica in China. It's got so many things. I didn't write everything that it helps, but whatever pertained to this class today, or this, it's excellent moisturizer. So it's great for menopause or people who are in menopause and there's vaginal dryness. So it helps to lubricate the vagina or vaginal area. It relieves vaginal itch and dryness. So there you go again. It balances hormones like estrogen levels. Oftentimes what is happening with our imbalances in our genitalia is that there's an estrogen excess. And sometimes estrogen excess comes from diet. So those toxins, again, because we have what's called xenoestrogens, you know, estrogens that are mimicking estrogen, but they're really not good for you. So they cause the fibroid tumors, they cause the, you know, unusual PMS symptoms, they cause a lot of issues, you know, a lot of cysts and a lot of problems. So Donqui can help to, it's what's called a phytoestrogen, a plant estrogen. So it helps to replace estrogen if you're lacking estrogen, and it helps to replace excess estrogen if you have too much estrogen. It's really good, a very good harmonizer.
May I ask you the best form of delivery?
Sure. So yes, yarrow would be the aerial top, so leaf and flowers. Donqui would be the root. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Donqui root, yes. I use tinctures a lot. Yarrow I love as a plant, dry plant, but Donqui I use mostly as a tincture. I make tinctures with that. Herbal tinctures.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really a proponent of pills, so
right.
Just because I'm a very raw herbalist, I believe like really doing things as close to nature as possible.
Yeah, I love the tinctures and the teas as well.
Yes, I prefer them much more too. So it balances the estrogen levels, and estrogen, by the way, also is what causes moisturizing or softening of the body. So that also is why it's responsible for helping with lubrication. So it's really good for people who are in menopause. It's a tonic for postpartum mothers. So after childbirth, it helps to tonify the uterus. So that there's no prolapse or unusual bleeding or things like that. It's a blood builder, so it helps with anemia. It helps to increase the good quality blood into the body. And it also heals wounds.
Oh,
It's really, really good herb. You should have that in your practice.
thank you.
Lady's mantle, Camellia, I can't remember her last name, but she is a very beautiful plant. I'm sure you have seen this plant while walking around. She's usually in gardens. She's got yellow flowers, as you can see here. She is underrepresented because she is a Alcamellia vulgaris, that's her name. She's an astringent as well, which again is for tightening any tissues that are prolapsed, but she is an excellent herb for the genital warts. Yeah. And you know, I'm supposed to say my disclaimer, I'm not a physician. I can't prescribe or diagnose or treat anything, right?
But you can say what you've seen.
Yes. She's great for that. Trust me. So if you know anyone and you know how to properly use this, or you want to contact me, you know, about that, let me know, because this is a very good plant for genital warts.
Thank you. I'll do so.
Skip the entire vaccination for that. She is an anti-inflammatory, so she's excellent for any pelvic pain, cramps. Sometimes the PMS is so strong and so painful. She is very good at creating balance within the uterus wall lining. She heals wounds again, but I usually use her, as far as healing wounds go, I see her not just healing wounds topically, so that's also men and women, but also emotionally. The name is Lady's Mantle.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, this is a person who may have emotionally gotten hurt, or is not seen, or is being put down. So she's like my self-esteem plant. The lady on the mantle.
Yes. Very good.
And she eases excessive bleeding, of course, because she helps with as an anti-inflammatory. So she reduces the bleeding process in the womb if there's too much bleeding from fibroids, etc. This is neem. I took these photos from online because I did a lot of this in the evening, and I have these plants outside, and I just wanted to go and photo some of these plants, and I couldn't because it was nighttime, and I had to get this done today. But too bad. I love neem. Yes, me too. As a Dicarta indica, plant that's renowned in India. It's esteemed in India, but it's also renowned in Africa. We call this arbaine in my language, and it's used for people with HIV/AIDS. It's used for the opportunistic diseases in my culture at home in Kenya. So you can use this for a lot of opportunistic diseases.
Say it in your language again.
Arbaine, which just means like 90. It cures 90% of diseases, if you want to say. So it helps with, you know, syphilis, TB, anything, all these yeast infections, all the things that happen when people get HIV/AIDS opportunistically. It's great as an antithelminitic, which means that it helps to take out worms and parasitic infections. Sometimes what is happening in the genitalia is there are parasites. The itch is due to a parasite. And so neem is a very good medicine. You know, you can take it's very, very, very bitter. So
Oh, yes, it is.
it's really bitter. So I would recommend this one as a tincture.
Ah, okay. And I also, it's an antiviral as well. I also mix it with my hair pomades, hair oils, and
Mm-hmm.
I put it on my scalp, especially as we're dealing with this pandemic,
Yes, it's great for your
and on
scalp.
my face.
Yes, you can put it on your entire body, and
Mhm.
it's also great for dental health. It helps
Mhm.
with all kinds of dental cavities, things like that. So
Mm.
I would recommend it for that. You can
Mhm.
put a little neem powder on your toothpaste and then just use it daily to clean your
Okay.
mouth to prevent a lot of dental problems.
Okay.
It's an immunomodulant, so like you said, it helps with viruses, but it also helps with bacterias. It helps to shift your immune system. So if you're having like your immune system is deprived, it will
Yes.
increase. Yeah. Let's see. It's a laxative. So
Mhm.
one thing that goes again, let me see if I can come back to this picture, to the anatomy, is that the the rectum is also very close to the cervix. I mean, everything is connected,
Mhm.
but if you're not going to the bathroom well, if there's a problem with constipation, it also can create problems in the uterus, okay, or in the cervical area. So you want a laxative like neem to help with that, to help with eliminating any problems that could happen, like pressures, unusual pressures, or just inflammation.
Mhm. Colon cleanses are very important.
Very important. And some of our yeast infections come from the fact that our colon is not clean.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Glandular swellings too. So this goes hand in hand with any lymphatic issues. So that's if there's an issue with an infection, any infection from herpes to boils to all these things that happen around the genitalia, it will help to modulate the lymphatic system in the vagina, because in the around the vagina we have a lot of lymph tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have bitter melon, which is a beautiful plant.
Yes.
It's in the cucumber family. It's also known as Mormodica chantaria.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for infections. It's great for diabetes, and this one is the one you can use. We use this in Africa against the trichomoniasis. So this if you ever have somebody with trichomoniasis, you want to give them bitter melon. I think this one is best. We eat this as a food. We slice it up and mix it up with different foods, but it's bitter. So you need to have the palate for that. So I would recommend capsule for this one. I think it's a lot easier to take. And it's great for
Ah.
diabetes, which, by the way, diabetes can cause more yeast infection, candida. So again,
Yes.
you're helping yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But don't people cook?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the best dish to mix that with?
I mean, we traditionally cook it with beans, black beans,
Mm-hmm.
and we use small fish. I don't know what they're called in English. And then maybe with onions and garlic.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't eat fish, then just the beans and the onions and garlic with like
Mm-hmm.
oregano, something aromatic to help
Mm-hmm.
with
And
the.
how does it taste? How does it taste?
It's really bitter, but if you soak it in a little bit of salt water prior to cooking it, it will take some of the bitterness away.
Mm-hmm.
It's very bitter. It tastes somewhat like, imagine just a bitter cucumber.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But as a medicine, you would take capsules. I think this is the one that I would say, okay, take a capsule,
Okay.
and you can use it for the trichomoniasis, diabetes as well, or any other infection. This is used in Africa a lot too. Baikal skullcap is another plant that is used in Africa. This is used as a vaginal microbicide. That means that you can make an oil or a cream with this and topically put it on your partner, sexual partner, or yourself before sex to prevent any microbe transfer.
Okay, that's interesting. Is that easy to get?
Yeah, this is all the herbs that I chose are herbs you can get.
Okay.
And this is one that also helps to detox and restore the immune system. So if there has been an infection, any infection, anytime I write like an anti-infective, that's any infection, you can use it to help to shift that. Mostly infections like herpes, this would be best. HIV, this would be best. Infections that create a lot of itchy and heat, this is the one that you would want to use. It's also great for liver detoxification, which is important to shift the immune system and to just help with hormonal health. There's too much estrogen in the body again, then this would be great. And the last one on this side is green tea. Just simple green tea, Camellia sinensis.
Wow.
Excellent for any venereal infections topically. You can make a tea out of this and use it as your part of your sitz bath for men and women. So that with yarrow and lavender flowers, wow.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yes. And you can use it as an antioxidant internally. So if that's concerning fertility, or if there's been scar tissue and it's not been too old, it's possible that that can be reversed. Because the antioxidant part will help to reduce the toughness of the scar tissue. It helps with preventing any neurotoxicity. That means that if there's toxins in the neurological system, this is for both men and women. If there's neurotoxicity, that affects our response sexually. And so we have a lot of heavy metals that sometimes cause that, you know, from foods and the environmental toxins or food toxins. So it helps to displace that, to remove that from the body. And so especially with men, sexual performance is reduced when there's neurotoxicity. And it also releases glutathione from the brain. Glutathione also helps, again, to release heavy metals, so environmental toxins.
Very nice.
Okay. So now the male reproductive system. So the male reproductive system is the divine masculine, and it's surrounded by beautiful parts that all can witness. It's an it's an outward place for all to see. So should be admired.
Yes.
Beautiful parts.
Absolutely.
Yes, the outwardness of the masculine reproductive system is evidence of how male energy moves through the earth. It's very outward, very boastful, which is not a bad thing. You know, this is like, I'm proud confidence, right? A sense of confidence, of like, I'm here. It's very direct, very goal-oriented, desires passionately, wants to achieve by entering the realms of the inner worlds of his counterpart. This is just the masculine energy that is driven around our planet. You know, that very direct, even I can be that. You know, that masculine inside of me can be very direct and passionate, and I want to achieve, you know, and enter the realms of the inner worlds of my counterpart. Like, who are you? I want to know you. So I'm going to enter into your world and find out, you know. Once he scores, he rests until he's aroused to meet the next.
Yeah.
So once you've entered, oh, okay, the curiosity has been satiated, and now I'm ready to find out more, either from the same person or from another.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
That's beautifully put. That's beautifully put.
thank
It
you.
doesn't translate well in real life, but it's beautifully
Oh yeah, of course. This is like the divine. Like this is in
Yes.
its divine form, right?
Yes.
Of course, we know that living daily is not exactly this.
Yes, yes.
Neither is it for the women, female, you know. So I know,
It's
but
true.
you know what? Let's hope to achieve this within ourselves always.
Always.
That's the hope, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the male reproductive system is, as we can see, a lot is outside. You have the urinary bladder that's very close to the prostate. It's above the prostate. And that's also why, kind of like the uterus, that's why prostate issues affect the urinary issues. I mean, if someone has prostate problems, they will have urinary issues. They dribble a lot with the urine, you know, and that's how they kind of first know that they have a prostate issue or something's off.
Mm-hmm.
So those are usually the symptoms. It's important that the urinary tract is very, very supported in the masculine system, as we can see, even for the feminine, but even more for the male, because look at that. The urinary bladder is connected to the urethra.
Yes.
Goes through the penis. And that's the same part where also the epididymis and the testes are connected, and it's the same path where semen and sperm travel, right? There's a seminal vesicle there where all the semen is produced when stimulated. So everything passes through the penis to the urethra.
Mm-hmm.
So if the urinary tract is not well, the sperm is affected, you know, semen is affected. So we need to make sure that's all taken care of. So some of the parts that of the genital imbalances for the male reproductive system I thought about were jock itch, which is kind of like a yeast infection too.
Yes.
But around the scrotum and the testes, right? There's this itchy, and sometimes it creates like skin peeling and all kinds of issues. Sometimes there's a hyperplasia, like a hyper production of skin.
I see.
UTIs, because of the physiology, the anatomy and physiology. Erectile dysfunctions, ED.
Yes.
Impotence and prostate health. I put those together because to me they connect.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then of course, fertility as far as sperm mobility and sperm quality.
Mm-hmm.
So how they affect the genitals in the masculine body and in the male body. Those can affect the blood flow, the way blood flows. So the penis requires blood flow, circulation, good circulation for it to become erected.
Yeah.
And for it to remain erected.
Mm-hmm.
Nerve problems also affect ED. So erection is affected by how the nerves are. Well, and that is again, getting erected and staying erected.
Mm-hmm. And so that brings in diabetes and high blood pressure and those.
Yeah, because diabetes affects the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hormone imbalances. So that's also, you know, testosterone, estrogen, too much estrogen. That goes to food toxins and environmental toxins too, because those will affect the amount of hormones in the body, but also stress, cortisol levels, and also liver function.
Mm-hmm.
And then medicine side effects, too much medications, too many, taking Tylenol, abuse. We shouldn't have medicine, OTC, over-the-counter medicine abuse.
Mm-hmm.
We really
Right.
try to use herbs for headaches or rest, or, whatever it is, not just pop a pill so easy. Because again, these chemicals end up staying in the body and not being able to be eliminated properly.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Alcohol abuse can also be very, very hormonally interfere with balanced hormones. Because a lot of alcohol creates more estrogen in the body, and that can create more prostate issues and therefore lack of good erection. Of course, drugs, just like cocaine, heroin, recreational drugs, even cannabis, which I don't really call a drug because it's a medicine, but when we abuse it, it becomes a drug. And so therefore, for me, that would go there too.
Yes.
Of course, if there's cancer and chemotherapy, that can affect sexual health and the genitalia as a whole. So I would, keep that in mind if there's an issue, sexually, or if there's an issue with, the genitalia. It could be that. STDs, psychological problems, stress, fatigue, and depression. Any mental health issues.
Stress will definitely do it, and depression. Yeah.
Yeah. Stress,
Fatigue
depression.
as well. Yeah.
Because we often forget how our mind is connected to the rest of our body. And how, it's the visualization, what you think. So if your thoughts are not connected to happiness, then you don't feel happy and you can't have pleasure.
That's right.
So here are suggested therapies are basically diet, lifestyle, and mental state, and hormonal states. So dietary would be, again, whole diet, organic foods, if you can, staying away from, processed foods. I'm not a vegetarian. I eat consciously. I don't eat a lot of meat, but I do eat some meat sometimes. And so,
you cleanse afterwards. You cleanse afterwards.
I fast. Yeah, I fast a couple of times a year too. So I do cleanse a lot. And I take a lot of herbal teas. I hardly ever take any medications. So I keep my body really, really connected to the earth. And so, if you're doing that, then, I think, because for me, meat it's been a medicine for me. And it's maybe my upbringing, but, we can do a lot of things with meat. We make a lot of bone broths and and this is before it became popular in the West. This is what we were doing at home, So like there are times when I'm not well and I'm just like, I need that, which my grandma or my mother made. So I do that and different things. But so, I'm not going to say, oh, just eat a vegan diet, because I know that vegan foods can be unhealthy, especially if you're not conscious about it. A vegan diet could be just eating bread and soybeans, and that's not healthy at all. So I think we also should shift our diet according to seasons. I'm looking into that myself as an Ayurvedic practitioner. I feel that if it's cold outside, that's not the time to eat salads. That's time to eat steamed vegetables, warmer foods to warm up your body. If it's warm outside, then you cool the body with salads or more cooler foods, raw foods. So that's how, maybe controversial for you all, but that's how I do it. So that's what eating consciously means for me.
It's good advice.
Yes, yeah. Eating consciously for me means like not always eating the same thing every day all the time, but shifting it according to what my needs are at the time. And sometimes it's no eating. Fasting is important.
That's
okay,
right.
so yes. And lifestyle is, of course, proper exercise. I think that more men should get into less of the lifting weights and, but more into, definitely do that, because I know that it lets off steam and testosterone needs that, and I'm pro it. But I think it's good to balance that with being quiet and
That's right.
meditating and, not being overstimulated, but coming inward as well, meeting the counterpart.
Like chronic busyness. Yeah, chronic busyness.
Yeah, just, ground a little more, and not just always be so outward with, having that testosterone like this. Mental state, I think talking to people, I think men often don't do talking as easy as women. And so I encourage that there's more trust in opening up, and in talking to more people that you trust, about whatever might be going on, have good friends, and not just brush things away easily, but if there is a concern in the forefront, to address it immediately, so that it doesn't become a chronic problem.
That's right.
I think with what I've seen with men is that the pattern tends to be holding on to a dis-ease for so long, and then it's like so far off, and then you could have done something a long time ago, and that's complicated.
Because there is such a thing as too late.
Yes, there is. There is, because as humans, we're here for now, and then we're all gonna die at some point. So I don't want to sound morbid, but it's true. So will be too late when that happens. So I think we should take care of ourselves in the middle of it, between the birth and death part.
That's right.
So
You're
some
right.
herbal interventions. Okay, so sarsaparilla is used here in the Caribbean. It's very famous in Jamaica. It's famous here in Puerto Rico. It's famous in all the Bermuda and Barbados and all these Caribbean islands. Jamaicans use this a lot though. Smilex officinalis. It's excellent. It's also used by Native Americans in the North, so it's used for helping with cleaning the afterbirth of women. I just threw that in there because all these herbs kind of overlap, and it's not easy to just say, oh, this is for men, this is for women. But
yes,
I wanted to remember to say that to you.
It's good.
This is one herb that's used for impotency, and it's, again, men and women too. But it's excellent. It has what's called steroidal lactones, and those are chemicals in the plant, in some plants, that help with bringing hormones to par, like bringing up hormone levels. So it helps with ED. It helps with treating also syphilis, STDs, like syphilis. It lowers blood pressure. So if there's stress and high blood pressure, it's an issue, and you're taking medication for that, we can just kind of like, let's try to bring our medications down, and maybe take some sarsaparilla so that we can, have less medications. A lot of those cholesterol and high blood pressure medications affect erection, affect the genitalia.
Yes.
It's a laxative, so this one will also help with stimulation, and it's an anti-inflammatory, so it helps with any pain and arthritis in the body.
Okay.
It's a great blood purifier. I didn't put that in here. So speaking of detoxifying the genitalia and detoxifying the body as a whole, it's a great blood purifier. So this one would be like my number one. That's why it's the first one I would go to as far as sexual health. And this could be for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great for STDs. So you can prevent that or treat that. It doesn't, again, that does not replace bad behavior or irresponsible behavior, but things happen, and if you need it, there it is. But it also helps with the inflammatory part. It helps with high blood pressure, to reduce high blood pressure, and it's great for impotency. So if you're really wanting to procreate, then this would be one that you'd go to.
Mm-hmm.
Ashwagandha.
I love ashwagandha.
Yes, Withania somnifera.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a great herb. I mean, it's used in Ayurveda. It's used in Africa. We use it especially in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
It's used for impotency. It's great for increasing fertility for men and women, but this one is really your male tonic for this. I mean, like, it's traditionally used for a lot of men. It's great adaptogen. So for the stress level, stress management.
That's what I use it for at the funeral home. Yeah, for mourners. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, it's great for, that's really good work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mix it with mugwort.
Oh.
So they get some sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Antimicrobial. So it helps with infections from fungal to bacterial to viral. It inhibits any tumor growths. So that's very promising. Malignant, benign tumors. It's been used traditionally for that. It's an anti-inflammatory, so any inflammatory issues like pain in the joints, sometimes as we get older and we're engaging sexually, there's pain, and so this could be your good herb for that. This plant is known for the mature. It's known for the mature. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I sure have enough of it around here.
Oh,
let me make a vat.
Yeah, give it to a lot of, the elders who are still wanting to be, engaging sexually and,
Yes.
I mean, we should all, doesn't matter what age, we should all be
vibrant
to have that and have access to that.
Mm-hmm.
It increases sperm quality and mobility. So this is also for your fertility again. If your, quality of sperm is low or the mobility is slow, often this is tested in the doctor's office, urologist or something. So, this could be determined. You can use ashwagandha to increase both.
Sounds good to me.
Milk thistle. Silymarin. This one is hepatoprotective. It helps to protect the liver. It's very good in supporting the liver. So remember I was saying that if we have a lot of toxins in our food or excess hormones, even with women, and this could be used for both men and women, or just toxins, a lot of toxins in the body, which will interfere with our hormonal health, therefore, and our immune health. So that would cause more susceptibility to infections, but also reduce our hormonal capacity to be able to have testosterone or estrogen in a normal way. This herb can help with that. It helps to protect the liver from any damage from hormonal excess or heavy metals. And then it helps with bowel movement. So it helps to go to the bathroom. And because again, the anus is it's very close to the reproductive system. Remember, the transfer of candida or infections is really, can happen. So keeping the bowel moving will help detoxify. I believe in prevention. Prevention is everything. So if you can have bowel movements every day, and make sure you're having good, healthy bowel movements. That's like one of the preventions of any toxins building up in the genitalia.
That's right.
So,
and in the bloodstream.
Yeah. You know, if you take care of your liver, which means that if you're having a bowel movement, your liver is working pretty good, you're good to go. Kola. This is Garcinia kola. It's very, very common in Africa. We use this in Nigeria. I didn't mention this earlier, but my family is I'm half Nigerian, half Kenyan, so I switch between two places because I know the two parts very well. But part of our tradition in Nigeria is the men usually eat kola nuts, bitter kola in the morning. They'll just like take one of the nuts and like eat a little bit of it and just discuss the business of the day, the news, the gossip, you know, the whatever they want to do. So that's a tradition. And of course, scientifically now we find out that kola is good for tumors. It's an aphrodisiac, and it's used for gonorrhea externally as a tea. So this could be part of a sitz bath soak that you put the yarrow and the lavender and what else, the neem. You put your kola in there too now.
Wow.
Yeah, you've got a whole formula.
That's a concoction. Yeah, you sure do. Wow.
It's great for parasites. So that's anything from ringworms to, you know, any parasitic infections that may happen around the genitalia or on the skin in general. It's great for diabetes. Mostly bitter things are good for diabetes.
Yeah.
So that can prevent candida. Yeah.
So you said kola, neem, and was there something else?
We talked about kola, neem, and yarrow.
Yarrow. Oh.
And I just said put lavender there to make it smell good.
Yeah, exactly.
You relax. While you're sitting in that sitz bath, you need to be relaxed.
That's right.
This is aloe ferox. This is the only picture I remembered I had stored from my home in Kenya. So this is a really, this actually is aloe from the land where I grew up and learned about herbalism. So this is my grandparents' land. Anyway, it's a great general tonic. So that means it just tonifies the entire body, purifies the blood, helps to tonify, you know, detoxify it's a restorative medicine. So it helps to repair and restore any imbalances in the immune system. It cleans the colon. So again, we're talking about the colon. Again, also, not just in having a laxative to clean the colon is good, but if your colon is functioning good, like moving in, it's spasmodic really well, that also will translate into good erections, okay, and so on. So that's where aloe vera can come in, okay? Antimicrobial, so it helps to get rid of microbes that could be in the area. You can use this topically, cut up an aloe, get the gel out, and rub it around the genitalia. This could be for men and women too. It's a great antioxidant. It's very cooling. So that, let's say you've got a client with the initial herpes infection, it will be really cooling on those first burns.
Yeah. Now tell me something, is this in the family of aloe vera, or is this family vera called something else?
Aloe vera is, yeah, different. You've got aloe ferox or Cape ferox, you've got aloe vera, and you've got some other aloe veras. But yeah, this is one of the aloe veras. This is the one in Africa. I didn't want to label this one wrong. So that's this name of this plant is aloe ferox. But you could use aloe vera they're slightly different. Aloe ferox is a little more bitter than aloe vera, but you still have, you know, you just improvise.
Okay.
This is puncture vine, also known as tribulus. In Ayurveda, it's called gokshura. This helps with ED. I also got another person pregnant. He had cancer, testicular cancer, one testicle out. His wife had fibroid tumors. We did something with her. And with him, I worked with this plant. This was one of the plants in my formula, the puncture vine. They have a son. He's one now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And it was like last minute because there's like, you know, 40, they're 42, 42, 43. So, you know, it was like, please, we need help. Yeah. But it increases testosterone. It's very good heart health support. It helps with ED. Again, like this client who had testicular cancer and one testicle removed. So obviously his testosterone levels and a lot of things are complicated. So this just helped to maximize, this plant and other plants that I use help to maximize the amount of testosterone and also helped with the ED part.
Okay.
This is Indian madder, also magista, and this is good for heart health. It's a great blood purifier. It's red, and the roots are used. It's used traditionally as a dye in India, and it's great for the urinary genital health, which is what we need to be thinking about here, right? Because of the urinary tract system is right inside the penis. So the Indian madder would be a herb to go to if there's a lot of problems with urinary tract infections, because we could be transferring that energy to a partner that we'd be sexually engaging with.
Yes, and one of our participants, Abhay, he's from India, and he says it's called Kerala bitter gourd. And
yes, it has many names.
It's really good.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for that. Yes, we have, there are many names to this, but this is the one I've chosen to use. I studied the Karaka Samhita, and so a lot of the plants that I'm naming are also from that studying, from that text in my Ayurvedic life.
Yes.
And also, by the way, friend from India, I learned a lot of my materia medica in East Africa, which a lot of the Indian herbs are there, and similar ways of practice, of course, were across the Indian Ocean, so it makes sense. Just oftentimes, I think we people exclude or don't think that, you know, East Africa has a practice or could practice similarly to Indians from India, because, you know, we are in the same vicinity. And then there are a lot of Indians in East Africa too.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a laxative. It helps with skin diseases. It's great for hemorrhoids. So there goes, again, the hemorrhoid issue. It could be also hemorrhoids, not just in men, but hemorrhoids in women too. And it's a pain reliever. It's an analgesic, so it helps with pain. So if there's pain with herpes, or pain with jock itch, or pain with whatever, you can take this plant. So these last couple of slides, I have like just suggested formulas, because I don't like to just throw herbs out and then it's like you just know the herbs, but I like to, you know, share a few things that you could maybe go home and make, or if you're interested, I can make them for you. So this is William Lasassier's tea for retoning sexual organs. This is basically for women, but men can have this too. It helps with restoring estrogen level. It helps to retone the sexual organs as far as detoxifying, as well as toning them physically, so there's no prolapse. Therefore, they could be ready for fertility, or just enjoy sexually, or, you know, gracefully maturing with good sexual health, sexual organ health.
Yeah.
So when I write the one means a part. So it could be 1 teaspoon, and 1 teaspoon of each, or 1 cup of each, or 1 scoop of each, whichever measurement you choose to use. Just use the same measurement for all of them.
Okay, so if I ordered in bulk, we would work that out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you'll take from all that 111. So let's say you put 1 scoop of sarsaparilla, 1 scoop of holy thistle, which is kind of like milk thistle, but a little different. I didn't mention the squaw vine, which is a, I should really call it partridge berry, because squaw has become a bigotry, like a word that it was used for Native Americans. So sorry for that. I apologize that that's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's Michella repens. It's a Native American plant. Partridge, correctly named as partridge berry. And it's really great for toning the uterus, preventing miscarriages. Black haw is great for pain, PMS, cramping, that type of thing. Licorice root is also very good for as an adaptogen. So I would make that and then take about a teaspoon of that and steep it for 40 minutes in hot water, and then drink about 2 to 4 cups a day. So per cup, a teaspoon per cup.
Okay, so we know what we must do.
Yeah, we'll discuss that if people are interested.
There's no if.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
For men's protocol, I was thinking, just doing the penile soaks and like less medication. And the reason why I wrote these, less alcohol, connecting with all of her. And when I said connecting with all of her, I meant that these above suggestions, I put them even more than for the female, because I feel like men need to spend more time with their genitalia and not having sex, but more of just taking self-care.
Yeah.
And so connecting with all of her is not just woman, but also the earth, just connecting with the plants, connecting with self-care, the feminine parts of our life, of our lifestyles. And then, of course, if it's a woman, then connecting with her and knowing what her needs are, and also her advice. Since women are really intuitive, they could help guide along the path. And being open and honest with her can also help, instead of hiding and causing layers and layers of problems. Less medication too. So not trying to just fix it now, but being honest and open that there is a problem early enough so that it can be shifted. And so this was my suggestion from the herbs that I shared, which was ashwagandha, tribulus, Indian madder, and the baikal skullcap. So you take about a teaspoon of that, and you would simmer it in cool water for 25 minutes. Let it sit for like maybe 5-10 minutes, and then drink 2 to 4 cups a day. I added milk thistle capsules for liver detox, especially if there's been alcohol abuse or misuse.
Yes. And what I would, thank you so much, Ola. That's so beautiful. And I want to urge all of you, if you have questions, we have a little bit of time, put them in the chat, or we can, I guess putting them in the chat would be more organized, and we can address them. I know there was a question from last month about pine pollen, and I wanted to know if you have anything,
on pine pollen
to say about pine pollen.
I don't really. I know about pine. I know that pine is a great, other than being a great medicine for infection, it's it helps with the immune system. I do know that it's also good medicine as an adaptogen, so it helps with relaxing the body, and it has a lot of antioxidants, so it helps with male, especially in men's health. It helps to increase sexual function, like with ED, for instance. It's a Native American herb, so it was used that way. And that's actually, honestly, what I know about it, more of an ethnobotanical point of view.
Yeah.
And this is pine needles. I don't know anything about pine pollen, though.
Oh, okay. All right.
But you've got pine growing right now everywhere.
Uh-huh. Well, you've certainly given us enough to think about. And I mean, it's been a really rewarding experience. And folks, your conversation segment will appear in your package. Barry and Russell have not deserted you, but we wanted to give Ola all of the time that she needed to just pour on us and love on us. And we really appreciate you, Ola.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes. And folks, as always, we need to know that life is all about balance. And with that said, we need to go into some dancing to balance out this time that we had being serious. So come on, Ola, join us. Put your hands in the air and party like you just don't care. And folks, thanks for coming. And we know that for March and April, we have detoxification of the skin. That will be Renee Strong. She's a trichologist and speak about hair loss. And detoxification of the nervous system with Vajan Lee Smith. She's a yoga instructor, and she's going to help us take care of our nervous system. Looking forward to seeing you again. And we love you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, team.
You're welcome.
Mara, Barry, Russell, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Russell.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, guys.